and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift Worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift Worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift Worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Film My Run on Zwift. My name is Stephen Cousins and we are broadcasting live on Facebook and on YouTube. While we're getting everything ready, it would be absolutely awesome if you could go and subscribe to the Film My Run YouTube channel and also the Zwift Live YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/filmmyrun and also Twitter at filmmyrun, and the website is www.filmmyrun.com. It's very nearly time, so sit back, relax, don't forget to drop me a ride on and watch me do all the hard work. Okay, I'm not sure we're on anywhere. Are we on Facebook? Are we on YouTube? I've absolutely no idea. It doesn't seem to be working for some reason. Anyway, never mind. I'm doing an elevation session and we'll get going in a minute once I've just paired all my devices. So welcome along if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook or something. I tried to get it set up and for some reason Facebook doesn't want to work, and I don't know if YouTube's working. I hope it is. I'm watching chat. If you are watching and you want to say hello, please do. That would let me know that you are there and we are live. Okay, let's click OK there. Elevation is going up to 12%. So this is my South Downs Way 100 training. So South Downs Way is a 100-mile race that happens Well, normally it happens in June every year, but because of the pandemic, obviously, that was cancelled or postponed. So it's now happening in November the 7th. I've got another race in between then. I've got a race next week, but we're now starting a block of training with more elevation. So I'm going to start training regular morning sessions where I just climb 500 metres on the treadmill. And you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen we're already up to 6 metres of climbing. The Cutmore family, hello, Andrew Cutmore. YouTube is working, Facebook is not. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Facebook. It just doesn't want to do it. I'll jump off one more time. If I just stop the treadmill, bear with me for 30 seconds. I'll just go to the computer. Theo, thank you for your message as well. So I know I'm on YouTube. Let me just go and have a look at Facebook one more time and see if I can get it to work. Okay, right, I do think I've got it working on Facebook now. So, yeah, on the Film My Run page on Facebook, I think we're on now. I've just clicked something else and it seems to have worked. So, yeah, this is just a short session, 4 kilometres, or just over 4 kilometres. And I'm going to walk out the first 100 or so metres, 200 metres. And we'll start a gentle jog, and you'll see in the bottom right of the screen the number of metres that I've climbed. We need to get to 500, and if I have the treadmill on 12% elevation, then each kilometre I'll climb 120 metres. So by 4 kilometres I should be just shy of 500 metres. So we'll carry on just a little bit more to get to the full 500 metres. Very easy session, heart rate relatively low, hopefully. Let's put a target up there as well. 4 kilometres we want, don't we? Four and a half, that'll do. Oh no, not calories, no. Why does it keep doing that? Don't do that. Go 2 kilometres. 6, 5, 4.5. Right, there we go. So that reckons it's going to take us an hour at this pace. If we walk this pace, we'll be on for an hour. But I am going to speed up a little bit in a minute. So thank you for the ride-ons that are already dropping. Andrew Cutmore, thank you. Let me go and get chat working on Facebook now. Yeah, Andrew Cutmore says it's all working now. Okay, couple more 100 metres of just gentle walking to just get the legs used to the climb, and then we'll start a gentle jog. So the South Downs Way 100 normally happens in June, but this year it's in November the 7th. So we've got, what have we got? A few weeks anyway, 8 weeks to get a little bit of climbing in the legs. There are 3,500 metres of ascent on the South Downs Way, so that's about 12,000 feet of climb, over 100 miles from Winchester in the south of England to Eastbourne in the southeast of England, over the rolling South Downs. Very easy terrain in terms of the ground underfoot. You're not talking about volcanic rock or anything difficult to run on. It's mostly beautiful soft grass and easy track, but there are some steep climbs, or there are some difficult climbs, especially later in the race, so you need to be fit enough to handle those climbs later on. So that's why we're going to do some hill training now for the next 8 weeks to get ready for that. So I will be doing running outside as well, not just inside. So I'll do regular morning sessions of 500 metres climbing in the mornings, 2 or 3 times a week maybe. But then I'll also go out at the weekends and I'll do long runs with significant elevation in those long runs as well. So when we hit 500 metres, I'll start jogging. Unfortunately, my avatar will keep walking for most of this run. It's only the last kilometre that we'll start running. Andrew says, any idea why my Zwift pod was so erratic yesterday? It went from 9 kilometres per hour to 16 kilometres per hour and just kept jumping all over the place. It could be lots of things. Obviously low battery is one, so that's the first thing to check. Take the battery out, put it back in again, or put a completely brand new battery in it. Recalibrate. But the thing about the Zwift pod, unfortunately, the Zwift pod is really unreliable. So for whatever reason, it can't keep a steady pace sometimes, and will erratically jump all over the place, which is why it's so budgetly cheap, and which is why the Stride costs £200, $200 or whatever it is. So we're into a gentle jog. This is Innsbruck, by the way, in Austria. So we don't often go running here. It's nice for a change. So first kilometre, we'll do 5 kilometres per hour, and then we'll bump it up a little bit. So we'll bump it up a little bit each kilometre. We're only doing 4 kilometres, about 4.5-ish. Jason Darby, good morning to you. Paul Carter, good morning to you. So keep an eye on heart rate as well. I'd like to not get into zone 4. So just zones 1, 2 and 3. So currently in zone 1 and 2 at the moment, 120 BPM. It's all about maximising. Oh, here we are. Right, we're going to have a spike now in heart rate just to annoy me. To 150 all of a sudden. It's all about maximising endurance and stamina training, and you need to do that in the bottom half of your heart rate zones. So zones 1, zone 2, and ideally the bottom of zone 3. when you start getting into the top half of zone 3, then you start getting into threshold training, and we don't want to be in threshold training. We want to keep the body learning how to maximise fat burning. Oh, absolutely, Andrew. Andrew Cutmore says, do you recommend core work to support running? Absolutely. I mean, I'm rubbish at that. I don't do it anywhere near as much as I should. But planking, squats, sit-ups, anything that you can do to strengthen your core and your lower back muscles and your glutes. So glutes, lower back muscles, and your core, your abs, absolutely, that will only benefit you. So we're at 12% elevation, running at 5 kilometres per hour, so very slowly, very easy, very relaxed. On the balls of the toes, kind of tiptoes, not quite tiptoes, just but the balls of your feet. So strengthening your calf muscles, because they should be doing the majority of the climbing. You don't want to be flat-footed when you're climbing. Flat-footed and you'll risk injury, hamstring pulls and the like, and ankle injuries. So get on the balls of your feet to climb those steep hills. So we've done 100 metres climbing. We've got 400 metres climbing left to do. So in the grand scheme of things, that's not very much really. But if we do that 2 or 3 times a week, and we also do, say, about 1,000 metres elevation outdoors every week, you've suddenly done 2,000 to 3,000 metres of climbing. And every week, that will improve your climbing strength, your fitness overall, and your ability to run 100 miles over the South Downs in winter. Paul Carter. So I was explaining at the beginning, says, are you training for anything specific at the moment? Yes, I am. So I'm just at the end of training for the Thames Path 100. So I've got the Thames Path 100 mile race coming up next weekend. So it's a virtually flat, 100 mile flat run. So if you look at all my training, you'll see I've been doing a few more flat runs than usual, but I've also been doing speed work to increase my endurance and speed over that distance, and lots of long runs as well. Now for the next race I'm doing, which is in November the 7th, we're doing the South Downs Way 100. So that's got a lot more elevation, 3,500 metres of climb. So I'm just starting a training block for that, which basically will be exactly the same, apart from I shall be adding some morning sessions where I'm doing this climb, 500 metres of climbing, and then in my long runs at the weekend I shall be doing a little bit more hill work, a little bit more elevation outdoors. Alright, now we should be going up slightly quicker, 5.5 kilometres per hour now for the next kilometre. You'll see the avatar, my avatar is not running. He will stay walking until the final kilometre. Final kilometre will be at 7 kilometres per hour, and we'll actually get running then. Thank you for the ride-ons.
Thanks for giving my dad a ride-on.
Jonathan Boyle says, is that a large monitor directly in front of you or a TV? Does Zwift work through both? Yes, Zwift works through both. This is just a TV in front of me. I've actually got 2 TVs. So the one right in front of me is just displaying Zwift. And then the one to my left is displaying the chat. So every time I respond to chat, you'll see me look over to the left here, because that's where all my chat is. And also it has my streaming software, so I can make sure that everything's working as it should for the stream. And you'll also notice I've got a camera right in front of some of the important metrics on the screen. So just because the camera angle looks better from there, I'm sacrificing being able to actually see some of the metrics on screen. But I can see my avatar, I can see the Zwift world, so it's all good. But yes, you can use a TV or you can use a computer monitor. Obviously, computers these days have HDMI out, so I've got a laptop with an HDMI out, and that can just go into any TV. If you want to buy a computer monitor, you can. You'll get higher resolution, but it'll cost you a lot more money. Owen Casey says, looks like the sun is shining where you are. Across the water here in Dublin, we have gale force winds and driving rain. Well, I think we were supposed to have a little bit of rain today. We had gale force winds and driving rain yesterday evening, or yesterday afternoon. It cleared up a bit in the evening. So yeah, yesterday afternoon it was absolutely throwing it down with rain, and it was very, very windy. But it settled down overnight, and yes, so it's nice and sunny and warm. So keeping the heart rate low, 126 BPM at the moment. Hopefully won't go into zone 4. We want to keep it in zones 1, 2 and 3 for the entirety of the run. And we've got about 34 minutes left of running. So I should be free to talk for most of this. So if you have got any burning questions, you know, when you see me running at 15, 16, 17 kilometres an hour and really blowing, and my heart rate is way up there in zone 4, you probably don't want to ask me many questions, because you know I'm not going to respond. But whilst it's fairly comfortable, if you've got any burning questions about Zwift, about your own running and training, about my running and training, anything at all really, preferably running related, but I don't suppose it matters that much. You can ask me anything, I'll give it a go. So we'll be looking at joining some event tonight. If you want to join me running at any events, check the Zwift companion app or this website, zwift.com/events, and you can sign yourself up for group workouts, races, at any time of day. It should be something to suit your time zone and your work-life balance. So Andrew says, currently training for a 50k ultra in October with my wife. She's lost her mojo a bit at the moment for running. Any suggestions about motivation, please? That is a tough one, isn't it? Sometimes it's a shame because you're training for a specific event. Sometimes a rest is all you need because maybe you're pushing yourself too hard or something and you just lose the love for it. And sometimes the hardest thing in the world is getting out of bed in the morning, or also it's just as hard at the end of the day when you feel like getting your pyjamas on and snuggling up on the sofa It's the hardest thing in the world to force yourself to get out the door, especially if the weather is not great. But it's about how much you want it, isn't it? Does she really want to do the 50k? How much does she want it? And how much does she want to succeed at it? So does she just want to get through it in 8 hours? Or does she want to try and do a decent time, you know, and come in whatever, 6 hours or whatever, I don't know. And that demands the work, really. But also, right, so choosing different routes. So don't go on the same run route all the time. Try and explore different places, so places you've never been before. Wherever you live, I don't know where you live, Andrew, but I should know because I've posted stuff to you before, haven't I? But get in the car maybe. Go and drive to a local beauty spot. Go running around a lake or up on the hills. Or go drive to the coast and go and run along the seafront. Something different that's not just the normal boring run route around the streets that you do every day, you know. And also, so from a training perspective, setting goals. So I have a goal that every week I want to run, whilst I'm training for an event, I want to run at least 100 kilometres per week. So you could try and set yourselves goals. So you want to run at least 20 miles a week or at least 30 miles a week. Or you want to climb at least 500 metres of elevation per week. So setting little goals is good for motivation as well. Because nobody likes to fail at things that they've set themselves. Jason Darby says, being really tired can knock that motivation a lot, but sometimes running longer distances can take up a lot of time in your life when you might want to do other things. Agree with the whole run somewhere else thing. For me, that was booking different events, which has been problematic with coronavirus, yes. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing is that doing other races as well. So you might be training for a 50k, so why not book 1 or 2 10ks or 1 or 2 half marathon races in different areas? I know, like Jason says, it is tough. But yeah, so maybe schedule in 2 or 3 races in the meantime. It depends when your 50k is, of course. If it's next week, then you can't. But races are starting to happen around the country, so maybe you can get into 1 or 2 other races. Andrew says she struggles with self-belief, which is a shame, as she's a very accomplished runner. So you've got to just drill that home to her, Andrew, without losing your rag. You know, it's positive self-talk, positive motivation all the time. And if you want to start, you know, you can do comparisons. You know, take your wife, her age group, and look at average results of other runners and say, look, you can easily do that. Look how this runner did in this 50k race. If you do a 6-hour 50k, you're easily in the top half of this race, or you'll easily finish in the top 30 females, something like that. She needs to prove to herself that she can do it, and when she does do it, then you'll kickstart something. Okay, we've now hit 2 kilometres in, so another 2 and a bit to go, and we're on 239 metres, which is exactly right at halfway. So we're going to up the speed to 6 kilometres per hour now. So heart rate will start to go up a bit. And notice my avatar is still walking. My avatar will not run until we do the final kilometre, when we'll hit 7 kilometres an hour. Your avatar starts running at 6.8 kilometres per hour. And we're currently only at 6 kph. No worries, Andrew. In terms of elevation, we're coming up to 250 metres climbed, so we're halfway on the elevation. With about 24 minutes left of running. Heart rate up to 140 now. I don't want to get in the orange zone. We stay in this zone. Which might mean I need to stop talking in a little while. Jason Darby says, aiming for 6 hours shows she is a great runner already. I like to make a little holiday of some of my running events. Maybe find a run somewhere, book a hotel, go for a run, eat in a restaurant, and make it a fun experience. Absolutely. Well, that's what me and my family have done with our friends. My running buddy Richard is also married with kids. So our kids and their kids, we get together. We all go on holiday together for a week. Me and Richard book a race, and everyone else has a nice holiday in the sunshine. And we've been doing that for about 5-6 years now. And both our wives are runners as well, so they get to go running in different locations as well. But they have been pushing us recently for us to look after the kids and them book a race, a proper race somewhere. Because it's always me and Richard who book the race, and then my wife and her friend have to make do with just going for their morning jogs or whatever. But they've started to say they want to actually do the races. So it looks like me and Richard are going to have to look after the kids at some point on some holiday somewhere. So although the heart rate is relatively low, I'm still sweating. I'm still working. My legs are still working hard. Climbing the hill. We're at 12% elevation. Or 12% incline rather on the treadmill. If you didn't hear me earlier. So 12% incline. If I run 1 kilometre, that means I will run 120 metres of elevation. So over 4 kilometres, that gives me 480 metres of elevation. So just need to go a little bit further than 4 kilometres, and we get up to 500 metres of climb for the session. Obviously I could do this a lot quicker, but I'm deliberately going slowly, deliberately keeping the heart low, because that builds mitochondria in the leg muscles, good transfer of energy to the muscles. Meaning greater endurance over long distance and less reliance on sugary drinks and sugary snacks, and we can get away with we can burn fat as our fuel instead of glycogen. So I don't know if you can see clearly, it's a bit you can't really see, I don't think, but that says 12 there. That's the incline on the treadmill, and it says 6 kph there. You see how if I don't talk, heart rate goes down a bit. Over 300 metres climbed, 312 now. With a kilometre and a half to go. Minutes left. Tom Bradley, is it? Or I can't remember if it's Tom or Tina Bradley. I think it's Tom Bradley. Thanks for the ride on, buddy. And Reefer as well, thanks for the ride on.
Ride on!
If you want to measure how your computer or your iPad or your iPhone compares to other Zwifters setups, why don't you load a log file into Zwiftalyzer? So go to your computer, go to activities, go to the Zwift folder, then go to activities and load the latest log, or go to logs, logs, not activities. Go to your Zwift folder and then logs, and then upload the latest log file to the Zwiftalyzer website, and it will compare your system to lots of other people's Zwift systems all over the world to see how yours is doing and whether you could make it better, or whether you've got the best there could be, or whether you've just got a really crappy, terrible machine. Right, heart rate is creeping up and we are going to increase the pace in a couple of 100 metres. Alex Dieter says, how come you're walking in Zwift? Because the avatar doesn't run until you get to 6.8 kilometres per hour. So currently I'm running at 6 kilometres per hour because I've got 12% incline on the treadmill. So, and I'm trying to keep my heart rate low. So I don't want to go too fast. So we're having a very easy, very slow run up a mountain, although obviously I'm flat in Zwift, but my treadmill is at 12% elevation, 12% incline. You can see my elevation at the bottom right of the screen, 356 metres climbed, which is about 1,000 feet. So if I now increase to 6.8, let's go to 7 for the last kilometre, you can see I am now running. So 6.8 and we're running, 6.7 and we're walking, 6.8 and we're running. So we'll go to 7 and we'll do this final kilometre at 7 kilometres per hour, and heart rate is going to climb now. Andrew Cutmore says, any more news on Zwift charging for running? No, not yet. It will happen, definitely will happen. I'd be surprised if we see anything before Christmas though, and I think it'll be well into next year if they do start to introduce something. Right, you'll notice now we've increased the speed. Heart rate is definitely going up, and I want to try and reduce that as much as possible. So I'm going to stop talking for a little bit and see, hopefully it can go down a bit. Ten minutes to go. Total, I've got 110 metres to climb, so 500 metre climb, and we'll be done. So not far off the finish, really. Well, a quarter, 3/4 of the way there, aren't we? No, 4/5 of the way there. So I was saying earlier on, Alex, this is the start of some elevation training for my race in November, which is the South Downs Way 100 on the 7th of November. So 2 or 3 times a week I'm going to be doing a 500 metre climb over just over 4 kilometres of distance, and that should help with my elevation training leading up to that race. So bottom out of the screen now, we've hit 400 metres, so just over 90 metres left to climb. .500 metres is about 1,500 feet of climb. That's it, Alex. Short but steep, but trying to keep it low heart rate as well, which is why we have to go so slowly. Psycho Breezy God says the animation is horrible for running. Yeah, I mean, it could be better, couldn't it? It looks better when you run faster. When you're running so slowly, yeah, it looks a bit rubbish. When you run faster, it does look a bit better. It's so easy to get set up with Zwift running. Here's what you need. Firstly, access to a treadmill. It could be at home or at the gym, but any treadmill will work with Zwift. To get you moving in game, we need a speed source. Traditionally, we use a foot pod like the Zwift Pod or the Stride, but you can also use the Run Smart treadmill sensor, your Apple Watch, one of the newer Garmin watches, the TSS app, and if you have a smart treadmill, your treadmill will connect directly to Zwift without the need for another device. Now simply download the Zwift app onto a Mac, a PC, an iPhone, an iPad, an Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. Finally, pair your speed source in the app. Pairing heart rate from your watch or a chest strap is also a great addition to Zwift. And that's it. You're all set up for solo runs, solo or group workouts, challenges and real-time racing on Zwift with people from all over the world. Simon Wood says, what are you using to record and show the elevation? Zwift. So if you use the Zwift Companion app, well, mind you, I should say from the outset, my treadmill is a smart treadmill. So not only does it broadcast my speed to Zwift without the need for a foot pod, it also broadcasts elevation. So Zwift will record that elevation. Unfortunately, it doesn't show it on the screen for runners because most people don't have a smart treadmill, so they wouldn't be able to display it. But it does record elevation. And if you have Strava, you will see the elevation on Strava at the end of the run. But if you use the Zwift Companion app, and if you go to the dashboard of the Zwift Companion app, you will see it shows the elevation that you're climbing in real time. So that's what I've got. What you can see there is my Zwift Companion app on screen, but just cropped in to show the elevations portion. And currently 475 metres climbed, so just 250 to go. Here we come up to the 4 kilometre marker. Heart rate has gone up now, 156 BPM. Andrew Cutmore says it's very strange watching your older videos without social distancing. Yeah. Especially the ones in Spain where we're all crowded together at the start line.
Thanks for giving my dad a ride on.
Dirkelson, thank you. Right, nearly there.
Ride on!
Walters, thank you. 494. 495 metres. So just 5 metres of climbing left. There we are. There's 500 done. Just do a little bit more. 30 seconds more. reducing the elevation, taking it back down to 0. And we'll let the heart rate come down. Jason Darby says, Corona has made me stir crazy. I've booked so many events for 2021. Amazed the bank haven't been onto me asking if somebody's hacked into my account. Even considering the Dragon's Back race. Wow. I would love to do Dragon's Back, but I think my wife would absolutely murder me. What is it, about £800-900 entry fee? Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing Dragon's Back unless I get sponsored or get a massive windfall. So just jog it out for a couple more 100 metres and that'll be us done. That's my 500 metre climb for the day. I'll be back on tonight. What day is it today? Thursday. So, no, it's Friday today. Alex Dice says, get Zwift to sponsor you. Well, the thing is though, Zwift are all about fitness. And they're all about the fitness market of people who go to gyms and do 5Ks and 10Ks and maybe half marathons. What they probably wouldn't put money into is long distance ultra races, because that's not where their core market is. So Zwift are all about getting people on the treadmill and getting them doing fitness training on the bike or on the treadmill, and doing 5K, 10K, half marathons, and enjoying it. Not necessarily going for those marathons or ultra distance races. So they would be unlikely to put a lot of money into me going and doing the Dragon's Back race in Wales, because it won't give them enough comeback. There won't be enough people who are interested in the Dragon's Back who want to be on Zwift. However, they would probably be more interested in me going doing the London Marathon or the Berlin Marathon or the Great North Run or something like that, because that's more likely to be of interest to Zwift's core market. Right, okay, we're done. So, we've done 500 metres of elevation. We've run just over 4.5 kilometres in Innsbruck. And that's it for this morning. And this afternoon or this evening we'll do something else around about 7:30 UK time, I would have thought. So join me then. Till then, I'm going to go and have a shower and get ready for the rest of my day. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.